How's it going, everybody? So today I'm going to be talking about the new upcoming album from the band MindAheaD, and the name of the album is 6119 Part 1. This bad boy releases October 28th, this Friday, and y'all know it. Before I get into the nitty gritty, let's check out the cover. So boom, there it is. Take a look at that cover. Super duper cool. You know, it kind of reminds me of a cover like almost like a video game cover back during like the PS2 era or something like that. I feel like it just has that quality where it's like a kind of a future sci-fi-ish look, but done in like the early 2000s or the late 90s or whatnot. I dig it. I really like it. The way that the band name at the top, MindAheaD, how that looks, and the 6119 Part 1. It just, I don't know, it just kind of screams like sci-fi, futuristic, almost like a RPG or even one of those like visual novel type of deals. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent a little bit with the whole video game vibe, but it just reminds me of that a little bit, to be honest. But yeah, I dig it. You see this person there in this hallway of sorts, and the colors, kind of the light reflecting these different colors, just looks really, really neat. It definitely is intriguing. And even like for like an album cover, it just kind of looks like a late 90s, early 2000s kind of styled thing, and I mean that kind of hits a soft spot for me back during those years. So I really like it. I really think it's cool. Now, does it give you a good impression of what to expect on the album? I think it does. Like if you're looking through the albums at a CD shop or record shop or whatnot, and you see this cover and it stands out, you're like, oh man, that looks cool. And you never heard of the band before, but you buy it, you take it home, and you throw it in there. Are you going to be shocked by what you hear, compared to what you expect from the cover? I don't think so. I feel like this cover could go one of two ways. It could represent the sound that you get on the album, which is kind of a progressive metal style, but I'll get more into that. Or it almost looks like it might be a little bit more of like an electronic style, but either way, I feel like it represents kind of like a symphonic metal with progressive elements or like electronic elements. So it's in the ballpark. So I think it does a good job of representing the sound on the album, especially once you start the album. It really kind of clicks it, and it looks cool. So yeah, I dig it on both fronts. So that's the cover. Let's talk about the album itself here. It's got 9 tracks in here, and it comes in at about 57 minutes. So yes, there are some long tracks on here. There's varying lengths of time on this album. There's some little interlude type deals that are just like 2 or 3 minutes long. But then you have some sweeping epics like track 3 that's 17 minutes long, and then even track 8 is 9 minutes long. So okay, so this album, the sound, really, one thing I really appreciate about this album and the band is they don't confine themselves to a specific genre or sound. They're very clearly, you can tell, they just create what they feel, and that's what you get. It's not like, oh, we want to be this, or we're trying to be this sound, or try to have that sound. They're like their own sound, their own style. Heavily progressive metal, I would say, is the most the percentage genre that the album is, but not like a crazy keyboard proggy kind of. More progressive metal in the sense of structure and arrangement of the songs, because there's not really much like keyboard. There's not like crazy keyboard stuff going on. There's some symphonic elements, woven throughout. There's some beautiful piano work in certain sections, and other elements utilized throughout the album. But like I said, it's the progressive metal really comes from just the structure and arrangement of the songs, and the album in general. So, but then you also get like there's a hint of like the symphonic metal style. There's melodic metal. There's a hint of power in there too at times. So you really get a lot of different stuff. Like I said, they just really created, I feel like, what they wanted to make. And it just structure wise is the progressive metal, but then you get hints and flavors of other things woven throughout as well. It really kind of keeps things fresh. And given the length of time here, I think you can tell the album and the songs are given time to breathe. Like nothing feels rushed here. It all just feels it just flows. It's like I picture them just writing the music and the songs and not being like, let's keep our songs under 5 minutes long. No, let's just, if the song keeps taking us further and further and further, let's just keep going with it. I mean, hence the 17-minute song here, and it's track 3. It's not like it's the end, like the epic ending song. No, it's track 3 here. And there's so many elements within that song alone. But so that's really kind of the sound that you get. The guitars are done beautifully. I feel like the guitar work is really what kind of defines the music, the direction of the songs. Again, there's other elements woven throughout, like a little bit of symphonic at times, a little keyboard, piano moments and stuff, but the guitar is really, I think, the driving force. And there's this really incredible balance because sometimes you get really heavy guitars with the riffs and whatnot, but then there's a lot of like acoustic guitar in here as well, like intricate acoustic melodies and riffs throughout as well. So you just get this really cool balance between the two. In some spots it's hard and heavy, and in other spots it's this really cool acoustic guitar melody. So really neat. The guitar playing is just phenomenal here. And again, it's so intricate. It's so versatile, and it just really drives the songs. And I think forms the core of the sound as you're going throughout the album. The drum work is just really, really great. Again, given the heavy progressive elements in here, you get a lot of shifts, musically and, tonally and all of that. It's constantly shifting and moving, but everything feels natural, nothing feels jarring about it, but the drums just do a really great job of keeping with that pace and keeping the rhythm and moving with the changes, and really phenomenal. The bass work as well. There's some spots you can really, really hear it chugging along, and just creating a nice pulsing sound in the background. And yeah, as I said before, there's some just absolutely lovely, wonderful piano work in here, and in certain spots, like in some of the interludes and things like that. Just absolutely excellent. Vocally, again, just top notch. All these folks here in this band are just top notch musicians and vocalists. You have male and female vocals here, and it just works so well. It's split really nice. There's times when they're both together. There's times when they're going separately, but they're both just so. It's just such a great dynamic, and both the vocalists just have such control of their voice. And again, with all the movements and arrangements and shifts throughout these songs, they're keeping with it. Some spots require more of a powerful voice, which they have, and other spots require a softer, voice. And there's moments of like choirs, all going, and just really, really dynamic. That's really the best way. That's the best. If I had to describe this album in one word, I would say dynamic, because there's just so much happening, but it all feels so deliberate and well placed, and just flows really nice. It's quite the impressive work, I have to say. It just really kind of takes you away. Track 1, Prologue, it's one of the coolest like prologue or intro tracks that I've ever heard, because it really, really pulls you in to, you know, the album, and the space that they've created in here. It really pulls you in. It's almost like this shifting, like radio transmissions, and you hear these voices, and you almost hear like these clips of music, and it's just really engaging, and really just draws you in. And then track two, Burning Horizon, it gets ripping with the guitars, and you know, you're off. They just take you on this adventure that they've created. It really is a journey, this album. You know, by the time you're done, it's like, wow. You know, considering where you started and where you end up, it's just that this was quite the piece here. And Yeah, like track three, the 17-minute song, it's got so many movements. It's heavy, and then it's softer, more atmospheric, and you know, moody, and it just like I said, that this song, it just really has time to breathe, and takes you through all these different emotions and moods and feelings throughout the one song. But the whole album is that way. Track five, The Last Tide, a beautiful ballad. I really enjoyed that. Track seven, Innocence, is one of the, it's like a little interlude kind of deal. And track eight, At the Gates of Night, Part One, the 9 minute long song. Just another one that just really, it just, everything feels so meticulously written and performed, and it just takes you through so many different feelings just throughout this whole album, and it closes out nicely with track nine, just kind of a way to ease you out of, you know, the album. So I really commend these folks just on the the skillfulness of the songwriting, and the arrangements, and having it all flow nicely, but also taking their time with it, not rushing anything, not being afraid to just let the music and just keep going. You know, just let it go where they feel like it's moving towards. And it really is an impressive piece, you know, especially for any of you progressive metal fans out there. But again, it's not like that keyboard proggy style. It's just much more in the structure. So if you picture like melodic metal with some symphonic metal elements, but with a heavy progressive metal structure, that's what you get here. And it really is quite the impressive piece. And I'm not going to lie to you folks, you know, that's just not the way of the Ranger. But, you know, progressive metal, sometimes when things go too far in the progressive metal, you know, I can get a little just distracted or whatnot. And so I'm not going to lie to you. There's moments in this album where it's like I started kind of drifting a little bit, but that's just me. That's just personal taste. Um, so it is very heavy on the progressive metal structure, but still, at the end of the day, I just found myself keep getting pulled back in. Though, you know, there's some grand moments. There's just the epic movements. There, just the melodies are really well done, and so you just keep getting pulled in, and just swept away with the sound. So yeah, I really commend them. Just the songwriting here is really impressive. It's definitely an impressive piece here. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this, especially progressive metal fans that like, you know, the melodic metal and symphonic metal style of the progressive metal. This really is one not to miss. In this style, this definitely is not one to miss. I can tell you that without a doubt. So really cool stuff. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's hard to say, you know, if you're going to give the album one shot, you know, what's a song to check out to decide if it's your cup of tea. It's hard to say because every song is just so dynamic, and you know, it is tough to recommend just one song. But I would say maybe just go with track two, Burning Horizon. You know, I think that's a decent representation of what to expect on the album and things like that. So without getting too deep, But I think that'll give y'all a good indication on if it's something you really want to jump into. But I do recommend the journey. It is quite wild, especially if you're down with the description I kind of gave to the style and the sound of the album. But the talent here is undeniable, undeniable. So that's MindAheaD with their album dropping October 28th, this Friday, called 6119 Part 1. Let me know in the comments down below if you're a fan of this band, if you've listened to any of the singles, or are you really looking forward to this album, or if you're checking out this video after you've listened to the album already. What do you think of it? Let's talk about it in the comments down below. I'll catch you all next time. Ranger out.